Do you use an audio recorder? Well, I have two, so right after this, I'll tell you how I use it. Hi, this is Bill Booz, and this is Photography and Technology Tools, an episode on audio recorders. Most of us have smartphones these days, and most, especially newer smartphones, serve pretty well as an audio recorder. A lot of people even use them for, just recording notes for themselves. I've just started using my iPhone. I have an iPhone 7 Plus. As a recorder to record supplemental audio to what I'm getting when I video my episodes and segments. So it gives me really very good audio. Recording directly into your camera using a mic as I'm using here. I've got a Røde Video Micro right above my head, and it's going right into the camera, and so it's being recorded. The audio is being recorded right along with the video, and obviously it's in sync, so you don't have to worry about it. You just take that one file and you edit it, cut out pieces, and you end up producing your video. That's certainly a lot better than using just the recorder or the mic that's on your camera, because it does not give you great audio. It can be usable, especially if you're filming yourself or you're filming very close to your subject. It'll pick it up fairly decently, but it's not the best. And audio, as I've said before, is way more important almost than the video sometimes, because if people can't understand what you're saying, they're just going to click on. Recording into a separate device, such as an audio recorder, a dedicated audio recorder, or a smartphone, is going to give you even better audio pickup, in most cases, than connecting a mic into your camera. Unfortunately, recording separately like this, where you're recording into it, whether it's a smartphone or a recorder, means that you have two files, an audio file and a video file, that you have to sync up later when you're post-processing your video and actually cutting the pieces and making the video itself that you're gonna publish. This is not as big a deal as it used to be, because more recent software versions almost make it do make it automatic. Actually, Final Cut Pro 10. In Final Cut Pro 10, you just need to point to the audio file, the video file, and say sync it, and it does. Now, you help that along by doing three claps, or the old clapper that you see when you were making old movies, and they still use it because it helps to make a note of the scene and so on. And when you're making a large or a full-length video or a full-length film, you've got a lot of clips to work with, and so that's one way of helping to keep them organized. I don't need that for what I'm doing, and so I just simply use three claps, and three seems to be better than just one, because then it gives a little bit more peaks for the software to figure out, or for you to figure out if you have to do it manually, which I think you have to do in something like iMovie, or when I'm using LumaFusion on my iPad, I have to do it that way. So when I'm going to edit a video on my iPad with LumaFusion, I try to avoid doing a separate recording of audio. Having decided to record separately on a recorder or a smartphone brings you to the next problem. What are you going to use? What's the best device to capture that audio on? When I decided to get a recorder a couple years ago, the popular recorder was the Zoom H4n, but it retailed for like $300, and for my uses, that just seemed a little bit more than I wanted to pay for a recorder. And so I looked around for comparable recorders, or recorders with comparable capabilities, and I landed on the Tascam DR-40, which I've talked about before. Now, the Tascam is a very, very nice recorder, and I think I paid $149 or something like that. It has a lot of the capabilities that the Zoom H4n has. It has two onboard mics, and you can swivel them out if you're going to do like an interview kind of situation where the person you're interviewing is over here and you're here, and it's picking up the sound from both on two different tracks. And so you could cut out your part, for example, and just have the responses to your questions. But you've got the questions recorded in case you want it. It's got XLR inputs, and XLR are the standard in professional audio recording. So when I use it with a microphone, such as I use the lavalier from audio-technica, I need to use an adapter. So I have an adapter that will plug, that I plug this 3.5 plug into, and then it's an XLR adapter, and then I plug the XLR adapter into the bottom of the Zoom. And that gives me really very, very robust sound. But it is kind of a big recorder. I mean, it does have a quarter 20 mount in the back, so I can put it on a stand if I want to. I could actually put it on a light stand and have it right here. But it's big. And so something like the iPhone is a nice, or a smartphone is a nice alternative. The Tascam is my number one choice, typically, when I'm going to do a separate recording. And my second choice is my iPhone. So I can use my iPhone, and what I've done, this is an iPhone 7, so it doesn't have the 3.5 jack anymore, the earphone jack. And the earphone jack also serves as a mic input with a specific kind of input plug, which is called TRRS. And basically, if you look at the plug, you see 4 rings. And that distinguishes it from a TRS, which is a standard plug-in that is on, for example, the audio-technica. And so if I want to use the audio-technica microphone with my smartphone, with my iPhone, specifically with my iPhone, I need an adapter that will allow me to connect the plug from the microphone into a and convert it to a TRRS connection. So, for example, here's one that I have. I plug in the mic from my audio-technica, and then the other end goes into the phone itself. Now, in the case of the iPhone 7 or 7 Plus, you need this little 3.5 to lightning adapter. And so I would plug that into here. I had to do that with my other mic anyway. Okay, but what I've chosen to do is go ahead and buy the Røde SmartLav Plus lav mic. As you can see, it doesn't have a real long cord, but it's fine for miking yourself and putting the phone in your pocket, or even holding it in your hand to record, and it frees you up to be able to walk around. In the future now, when I record in the backyard for my Learning Photography series, I'll use this to get the audio recorded, because I can turn my mouth away from the camera, and I'm still going to get decent sound because the mic's going to be right here by my throat, by my mouth. But again, even with the SmartLav, I have to plug in an adapter for my phone, my iPhone 7. But this setup works really very well. And then what I need to do is sync this up. I take that file and I upload it, and then I have to sync that file with my video file. And as I say, I typically don't do this unless I'm going to be using Final Cut Pro, because Final Cut Pro will make that sync. And I do the 3 claps to give it a reference point to make it easier to make the sync of the files. I also have this little Olympus recorder that I got. It's probably a little bit north of $75. And it's a decent little recorder. It fits in my pocket if I have a pocket. It fits in my pocket nicely. When I travel, I typically take this with me. And if I go on especially if I'm going to Germany and I am going on a tour, I'll record the leader of the group, and I can listen to it later. And then I'm able to kind of concentrate a little bit more on what the person was saying. But it's not a great portable recorder. It's there are many that are better. There's another Zoom, I can't think of the name of it right now, I'll put it in the description, but a lot of people use it, and it's a small mic. I wish, in fact, I would have gotten it, because a lot of people are using it as their mobile, even for doing interviews or doing the recording as we just discussed. It does do a very nice job of recording very clean and crisp audio. So, those are the two devices, the Tascam DR-40 and my iPhone with a SmartLav, a Røde SmartLav Plus. Those are the two devices that I use when I'm going to record separate audio rather than right into my camera. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and gives you some guidance if you're kind of in the beginning of this whole journey of making videos and looking for ways to improve the quality of your videos. Thank you again for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next episode of Photography and Technology Tools.